Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Discord channel to Elevating Traders if you're looking to join the community. You can find updates there regarding Elevating Traders. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself, share ideas there. So if you are interested, go check it out. Free to join. Links in the description and also at the top of the chat. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Good morning, Ahmed. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. What is up, Tashi? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Julius, welcome to the stream. I appreciate it, my man. I hope you're doing well. So as always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first. DXY. USD majors, gold and silver. Of course, any request, any particular pairs you do want me to take a look at, let me know in the chat. We'll discuss, of course, any time frames as well. Mostly I'll focus on the 4-hour chart, but if you are looking at other time frames, intraday or higher, let me know so I can take a look. But of course, we'll start with the dollar. So with the USD, it's been interesting. We've seen some upside yesterday. I believe on stream we were trading around here and we did see a bit of a rally. So is this the bottom for the dollar? It potentially could be. If price can start to hold the low here, which is some price support to our left, if we can stay above this zone, 99.250 we'll call it, then I am looking at that as a bottom, potentially a bit of a head and shoulder pattern there with the left shoulder over here, head over there, and potentially right shoulder. And then I am looking at that as a bottom, and potentially this will be the first higher low, using support to our left and taking that as support again. So I think this will be crucial support for the dollar. If it does hold today, then we could be seeing some nice buying opportunities for the dollar. So selling maybe euro, selling pound. Again, with a pinch of salt, because I'm not necessarily expecting this to be a crazy move. I do think we do need a decent size retracement because the market's taken out some major lows on the weekly chart. So I do think we can see some upside. But I mean, in terms of a bottom, I think this might be a bottom for a retracement for price to continue later. So, I mean, it could be a big retracement. It could be something like this. But I do expect us to continue lower in the long term. But for now, we are seeing some signs that it could be a bottom. So if this support can hold, then yeah, we could be looking at price turning around, and this could be a nice buying opportunity for the dollar. If we were to break through, then we're back at square one. I'll be expecting price just to swing it back to the lows and maybe even put some new lows in at that point as well. So very, very critical support if it does hold. It could be a bit of a turning point for the dollar. So taking that information into euro, kind of the same situation in terms of, okay, price consolidated here. We broke to the upside, broke back within the range, and again, leaving behind some resistance just above us. So again, if euro can push into this zone, respect it. I do think this could be a lower high there for euro, and some downside could be on the cards. Again, in inverse head and shoulder pattern for the dollar, but a head and shoulder pattern here for euro. So you get your left, your head, and your right shoulder. If you can respect that resistance, that could be a nice short, potentially back into that low, or maybe back into some highs down there. Again, with euro, I'm still longer term bullish with this one. I do think we can still see higher prices, but I'm just not interested in buying euro at the current prices we're at. We're taking out some major highs in the weekly chart. We've already seen a lot of momentum. You can see we're starting to lose that momentum as well. So in terms of a big swing trade, this is not the best place to be looking to buy. You want price to retrace, find some support further down, and then we can start talking about some longer term swings. So if anything, if we can pull back, that's actually a great thing because that will allow me the opportunity to start buying euro again for a much bigger play. Even the high here is something I would consider. So yeah, I would say keep a close eye on around 1.14300. If that does hold, equally same with the dollar. If the dollar can hold the support level we just mentioned, that could be a really nice turning point for both of them. I was looking for this area to hold yesterday. We saw a brief bounce, but momentum kicked in, so we didn't really push away. It looks like we've got some resistance above us, which if that can sustain, it could be a really nice short there. Pound USD, similar situation. I was looking for, we're still trading within the area, so you can still see that bounce. I'll say Euro shorts look a lot cleaner than Pound USD. If I was shorting Pound, ideally, I'd want it to be back at the daily high again. So if I scoot to the daily time frame, mark this point out again, ideally I would want it to be around that area. Not really seeing the same head and shoulder pattern with Pound USD as we're seeing with Euro, but again, they're very similar pairs as well. If dollar is going to push up, then Pound USD is likely going to push down as well. But yeah, with Pound USD, we are still kind of respecting this zone here. This is where all the momentum came from last week. We are still kind of reacting with that zone. Again, short-term bullish bias with Pound USD, but I am still looking at for a much bigger retracement for this one. I do think long-term we can still see higher prices, but I'm looking to see if Pound can get back to 1.31 or even 1.3, to be honest. That would be a very nice retracement for me. If I whip out the fib from the swing low to the swing high, these are the areas which I'm interested for that longer term move. So still looking for a bit more downside for Pound USD. Perhaps we go to retest the high again. I wouldn't probably look to try and sell Pound USD. I think Euro looks a lot better based on how we're trading the price action. But if Pound can get back to these prices, 1.31, 1.3, well, that would definitely interest me in terms of some longer term buys. In dollar CAD's case, we did break to the upside out of this range here. So again, dollar CAD, there might be some nice longs here on an intraday level. We had some prior support from a couple of weeks back, was taken as resistance. Price then broke through, and now we're back retesting that same level as support. So if price can hold this, again, I think this is a nice place for a buy. Essentially coming back to retest that range, but equally coming back to test a nice level of support. I think intraday that could be a nice place for a long. Probably wait for a stronger shift of momentum on the hourly chart, like a nice bullish engulfing. At the moment, things still look pretty bearish, but we are at a nice location. And that could, again, be potentially the bottom of dollar CAD and the start of a move to the upside. I think it does hinge on what dollar's going to do, because if the DXY, of course, does break through that support level there, well, then DXY is probably going to head back to the low, and then probably dollar CAD to do the same. If DXY does hold this support and we do turn around, well, dollar CAD will probably do the same as well. So keep a close eye on the DXY, because it will paint the picture. But yeah, if we can hold this level, I think that's a nice place for a buy. Again, I'm still very eager with the shorts with dollar CAD. I'm still very consistent with all these lower highs. I still think we can still see lower prices. And my plan is to look to try and find the next lower high on the next pullback. And this is the low which intrigues me at the moment. So if I can see a pullback into 1.405, that's when I'll start being interested in selling dollar CAD again and taking it to the downside. I'm not interested in selling at these prices. We're too corrective. Market's already had a big drop. Not really doing me much good selling down at those prices, unless I'm going to be intraday and be fairly in and out, then I can understand that. But not a swing position, not at those prices. But that's still what I'm looking at for dollar CAD. It hasn't changed for myself, but there could be some nice buys off that level. In terms of Aussie dollar, still looking for a bit more retracement for this one. It looks like we're really failing at the highs here. So price has had a couple attempts now at trying to break resistance here. It hasn't really amounted to much. We're still seeing a lot of wicks, a lot of rejection. So I'm kind of hoping that we can retrace a little bit more now. I said initially this would be a level which I'm looking to buy from, which is back down at 0.63250. I also like the low here as well. So I'm just looking to see which level possibly could give me the buys I'm looking for on Aussie dollar. Again, the idea is that we've had this massive impulse down, impulse back up. So that really aggressive V-shaped pattern. Now, simply I'm looking for the correction of that for some more upside. I do think this could be a bit of a bottom for Aussie dollar from this bearish move. So I do think we can see a pretty big bullish move soon with Aussie dollar. So I'm looking to see if I can take advantage of that. But at the moment, just haven't seen enough retracement. The market's been very, very corrective. Yes, we've seen some momentum come back into the market, but not much, not enough for me to get excited just yet. So still looking for a bit more downside for Aussie dollar, 0.632, 0.624. Those are sort of the areas I'm looking at before I can start finding some entries. And USD, same situation here as well. Lovely break to the upside, a lot of momentum. Still looking for a much bigger pullback before looking for any buying opportunities. I like the possibility for the retest of the high here. This is where we had that lovely bearish move. We've since gone and broken through that. A retest of that looks really good to me. And then again, expecting a lot more upside as well. But again, really aggressive V-shaped pattern, just looking for the correction and the continuation of that. At the moment, does look like we're having some type of pullback here, but nothing to get me excited. Possibly we may continue from this, but that just doesn't interest me. It hasn't been enough of a pullback for me to get excited. It is pretty corrective. It looks nice. Momentum looks like it's shifting, so perhaps we do get another push back to the high there for USD, but it's not in a situation where I'm expecting a big move, so I'm not really looking to jump into that. Yeah, I still need USD to retrace a lot further, and if you can get back to 0.58500, which is this zone here, that should give us a suitable retracement. Even if we swing it back to a high, that's still a pretty decent move there. So that's still what I'm after with USD. In terms of gold, we did see a bit more downside with gold, but it didn't really amount to much. We had another push lower, and then gold decided to find support, and we pushed back up pretty aggressively. We're still coming into that head and shoulder resistance area, so it's going to be very tricky to see what gold does, because if we respect this area, that could still be a pretty nice short potentially for gold, especially because gold is still very overstretched, very overextended. If gold is going to retrace, it's probably going to be a pretty big one. So I'm expecting decent risk reward opportunities here. But at the moment, we're still respecting that zone. My my full process with gold is just to see what we do here. At the moment, we're respecting it pretty well, but it looks like we're coming back for another retest. If we can continue to respect it, that could be a really nice short opportunity to at least swing it back to lows, but probably a lot further than that as well. There's this consolidation just below us. I think that would at least be a nice target as well. If price was to break through and start to print some higher highs and higher lows again, then yeah, we're probably just going to push back to highs at that point, which is 3,500. But this is a very pivotal area because this looks like a really nice head and shoulder pattern, a lot of momentum to the downside. If we can respect this, I think that's a really nice place for a short. Equally, a nice place for a buy as well if we do break through. So that would make up my bias there for gold, depending what we do at this level. So far, it's nice and slow. So if we keep that up, maybe see a nice shift of momentum, that could be a nice short on even the hourly chart. Could go lower, but the hourly chart would be nice as well. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens from that level. But, yeah, that is an interesting level. Does look like a nice head and shoulder pattern there. And of course, you got your lovely silver, which did give us quite a nice move to the upside yesterday. So silver's consolidating, nice break to the upside. I think, again, judging how everything is looking, I think this could be a nice place for a buy. But again, I'll keep it short term with silver. Hasn't been a big enough breakout for me to be interested, to be honest. The market's still quite stretched. And again, I'm not necessarily expecting to hold into a position for a massive move, especially when we look to the left and we still got areas like such where we had a massive amount of selling pressure last time we were here. Brief consolidation, humongous move to the downside. Now we're back there again. I would imagine more sellers are looking to enter the market. Now, I am still very bullish with silver, and I'm still looking for a good excuse to buy it, to be honest. I'm just looking to time myself and be patient enough to wait for a good trade. But at the moment, we're still coming back into supply here. I know it was a nice push yesterday, and it was a good push. And I think this is still a really nice place for a buy. Solid resistance, respected it on multiple occasions, clean break. This will be the first test. I think this is a nice place for a buy. But would I hang on to a position here for a bigger move? No. Intraday move, yeah, I would. I think trade for like a day. I think you could get a nice bounce there for a day. But if we were to come back into resistance, that's where things get shaky again. And maybe sellers do take us a lot lower. So that would be my worry with the silver position. But again, depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for an intraday move, for a session or for a day, then yeah, that's a decent place for a buy. If you're looking to try and swing it back to 35 and you look for a really big swing trade for silver because you have like a long-term bias, I wouldn't say that's the best place to position yourself long for that. So it really depends what you're looking for. But nonetheless, nice level. Keep an eye on that. I think some entries, even on the 15-minute, could be nice there. So 33 looks really interesting there for silver. And that's kind of where I'm at with the USD pairs at the moment. USD looks like it could be bottoming out, so potentially could see some more USD strength coming to the market. Yeah, so we're going to see what we do at that support level. Dark Sean, what is up, my man? Hope you well. Yesterday, crazy movements. Nas one, yeah, I know you shared it on the Discord. That is crazy. That is crazy. Done and dusted in 5 minutes. Today does look like we're going to close the gap, waiting for a retracement for a short entry. Okay, yeah, I did see that actually before coming into the stream. A lot of the indices were looking a little bit bearish, and we got the gaps right below them. So it'll be interesting to see if we just go and fill the gaps, to be honest. Alex, good morning. Hope you're doing good. Yes, we can look at oil, no problem. James, what is up? I've got a limit order at 1.11. Which pair is that? Good morning, Matt. What is up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. NZUSD looks better than Aussie dollar. Yeah, I would agree. It looks a lot cleaner because it had a nice break of structure, so a lot of momentum was there. So I do agree, it does look a little bit cleaner, but I would like both of them to see a pretty decent retracement before I do take a buy. But yeah, I do admit Aussie dollar is a little bit more choppy, still failing at resistance there. But I would expect similar moves for both of them. They're very similar pairs, and the price action has been very similar too. So I do think there's still a lot of upside for both of them. But yeah, NZUSD has had a much bigger breakout, so it does look a little bit cleaner. What's up, Cease Integrated? Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. Long and trades, you're a Swiss. Yes, we'll take a look. Oil could be interesting for a sell around 65. Yeah, I'm eyeing up oil as well. I'm looking more towards 60, 66, but more or less the same area. Anyway, I'll go take a look at NAS quickly. Then I'll go through oil. And then I'll take a look at Euro Swiss. So NAS 100. So yeah, NAS 100, a bit of a bearish move the past. Well, I mean, since we spoke, price had a bit of a rally. We topped out a little bit later on in the day, and then we've just been falling since. But the key thing is that we have this gap here from yesterday's daily candle open, which is this area here, which looks like we're just about coming into now. So potentially the market could be looking to go and fill this, and I think that there's a pretty high chance we do. Again, technically the gap started from here, but I would probably be keeping an eye on that as well, because that would be the high the market pushed down from before we gap to. But yeah, we are looking like we're about to fill the gap. I mean, we've taken out these lows here already, so we're kind of in the process of doing that. So yeah, I would suggest, as long as the market stays bearish in terms of the market structure, so if I should drop to the 5-minute chart, as long as we continue with these major lower highs, I think that is likely the case with NAS in terms of just continuing lower to go and fill the gap. So another correction, perhaps we come back and respect some structure around there. I think that could be a nice place for a short, and then on our way to go and hit maybe 18,400, 18,300 area in terms of targeting the gap for it to close. So for it to fill, not necessarily close. But yeah, that's I would have a similar expectation, Dark Sean. Really nice market structure, consistent low highs. As long as we continue that and we don't start breaking through structure, I mean, even if we do take out a high, we may still just have a more complex pullback and then go and fill the gap later on. But that could look a lot more, that could take a longer time, and we might not essentially fill the gap today. But if we continue with the bearish structure today, respect some areas around 18,600, I feel like we could actually see that gap fill done and dusted today. But yeah, NAS looking pretty bearish intraday. I think we'll like to keep falling. I looked at S&P as well just before the stream. Similar situation in terms of slowly rolling over, gap just below us. I think Dow Jones, same thing as well. Yeah, actually, has Dow Jones filled the gap? Yep, it has. Dow Jones already done that. That's a good sign, actually, because sometimes I've noticed with the indices, especially with the US indices, sometimes one will make the move and then the other two will follow, or sometimes two will make the move and the other one will follow. So kind of like lagging behind it, and that's a good indication that probably NAS and S&P will join the club in terms of filling the gap as well, because US 30's already done it. Of course, nothing's 100%, but that's a good indication. But yeah, I would expect us to continue lower. Okay, where were we? Okay, oil, Alex, will take a look-see. So with oil, okay, bit of a sell-off yesterday. Price got to 65 and had a bit of a drop. I'm still looking for, what's this? Okay, yeah, I'm actually looking at 65.5 is my area of interest really for oil. I thought it was 66. Yeah, just underneath 66. But yeah, there's a massive level just above us here. 65.5 more or less, kind of where I'm looking for that level to come in. Didn't quite make it there yesterday. Big wick to the upside, but not quite making resistance. I would still be looking at price making a move towards that area. So as we've come back into structure, prior resistance turn support. If this level can continue to hold, I would expect price to find support here and slowly make its way back to resistance again. And then we can start to talk about some shorts. And judging so far how corrective price is, I think there's a good chance that that 65.50 level does hold, and we probably go for a bit of a sell from there, because we've had such a big drop, and the market overall is very, very corrective, very slow moving, which is a strong characteristic of a pullback. If the market was flying to the upside and moving very aggressively, well then I'll be a bit concerned if that level is going to hold or not. But because it's still so slow, as long as we can keep that up and don't do anything crazy, I think there's a good chance that we do at least see a decent move to the downside. Of course, whether we get back to lows or not, that's a different scenario, but I still think that's a nice place for a short. And also, this is a nice place for a buy as well. Higher lows in this area. We've got prior structure on the left, now acting as support. I think this is a nice place for a buy. But if you're only interested in the sells, I understand that as well. I think that would be a really nice trade too. But yeah, oil, I do still see more upside before we do really sell off. Okay, let's take a look at Euro Swiss. So Euro CHF, yeah, Euro CHF is not my favorite CHF pair. I quite like Aussie, New Zealand, and CAD CHF, because all three of those have hit all-time lows. So I'm expecting a big recovery. Euro CHF hasn't quite made all-time low. Of course, the CHF pairs kind of do the same thing anyway. So they're all probably going to move to the upside together. But just because CAD, Aussie, and New Zealand have seen all-time lows, I like the longs in them a little bit better. But so yeah, with this one, we have come back to, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is the all-time low kind of support level. So yeah, if we were to break through that, it would be new all-time lows, but not quite yet for Euro Swiss. I mean, we're down low anyway, so I know we haven't quite made new all-time lows, but we're not far off it. We came very, very close to it. Anyway, we're rejecting support pretty heavily now. We tested it once, twice, a third time, and a fourth time, and the market's still respecting it. So this seems to be a very sturdy level for Euro Swiss. Depends what you're looking for. I think this will be a nice place for a buy. I like the way price kind of consolidated here and ripped to the upside. So if we were to come back, slowly retest this area, I think that would be a nice place for a higher low and a bounce. Market is starting to break through some structure. We're taking out this high. Looks like we're just about to take out this high. Not quite yet. But the market is taking out highs. They're breaking through levels of resistance. And we've seen a fairly decent move there. It would be nice if it was a bit more impulsive, but it is an indication that momentum is picking up, and I do think more upside looks good, and we know where we're positioned as well. So I think buys will be the big move there for Euro Swiss. Also, I think this is not a bad level for a short as well. Really nice level in the market. Prior resistance a couple times, once, twice. Support as well, once, twice there too. Haven't really come back for a retest. We had a very kind of weird wick into that level. So technically we did retest it, but I still think that level can offer us some type of bounce to the downside. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that type of move. Of course, anything can happen, but I'll be a little bit more conservative with that just because of where Euro Swiss is on the higher time frame. So depends what you're looking for. I think that looks like a nice buy, more or less down 0.93 100. If you're looking for shorts, 0.95 looks good, really sturdy level of support and resistance. If we get there again, I think that'll be a nice place to short as well. That's where a lot of momentum came from, so I do think we can at least see a bounce from that same level. So that's kind of where I'm at with Euro CHF. Euro USD, James, no problem. We'll take a look. Ahmed, yes, we'll take a look at BTC as well. Darkshon, it's only 300 pips to fill the gap today. Okay, most likely that will fill. Okay, so it's not too big. Because in my head, I'm always thinking like 300 pips. That's like a massive move. And FX is a massive move. But for NAS, it doesn't seem to be so big. Anyway, so in terms of Euro USD, and I'll take a look at BTC. So Euro USD, as I mentioned earlier, there's an interesting level just above us here, which if we do hold, I do think it can invite some really nice selling opportunities and some downside for Euro because the market is quite oversold. We've had a really strong move to the upside on Monday, which kind of was like a big anticlimactic buy. Sometimes the market does that. Actually, quite a lot of the time the market does that. When we had like a long trend in the market that's been going for a while, sometimes we do see one last big push to the upside before price does reverse, and that sometimes is a big sign that okay, maybe this is going to be the top now for us to turn around. Potentially this is that move, one last big up move before we do turn around and have that bigger retracement. And it doesn't necessarily mean reversal as in complete reversal. Sometimes it just means a bigger retracement, and then maybe we do continue later on. But that is a pretty common pattern, seeing that kind of one last big up move, maybe sucking in some more buyers before we do have that flush lower. So this to me looks like a very interesting level. If we can respect it, perhaps a head and shoulder pattern could form. Left, head, and then a right shoulder. And of course that could potentially be our first lower high for some shorts. DXY is doing something very similar. As we mentioned earlier, we've got support here. Of course, DXY be an inverse head and shoulder. But we've got support here on the left. We've got our head there. And that will potentially be our right shoulder. So if price can come into here, respect it, then that could be our high low that does send the dollar up. And of course, if the dollar is going to be bullish and pushing to the upside, well, that means Euro is going to be heading the opposite direction, of course. So we could be seeing some nice shorting opportunities there. Now, I'm not so much bearish on Euro in terms of what I'm looking to do. I think if I had to trade Euro, I probably would be looking to short it right now. But my plan for Euro is looking for a pullback for a lot more upside. I've marked out a few areas where I would like that to happen. 1.11 and 1.095 are kind of areas which I'm looking for Euro to pull back into before we do talk about some more longs, because I do think the bigger move is still to the upside for Euro, but we do need a retracement. We haven't had one for a while, a decent one anyway. This is our biggest retracement since the breakout here, and this wasn't even that big. So yeah, Euro, I do still want price to come a lot lower. We've had a bit of a drop there, but I think there's more room. In terms of actually selling it, I would wait for a push back to resistance first, 1.143. Then from there, we can look for some entries to take price lower. But I am a bit more interested in the sells now, seeing momentum continue. BTC, this one looks a little bit tight at the top there. Looks like, oh, not the 12-day chart. We had not really a doji yesterday, but just kind of a small body bullish candle, so implying momentum. is running out a little bit with the buys here, but judging the initial breakout there, I would still be pretty confident we can still see more upside, and this is just a bit of a pause. We've kind of come back into this area, but looks like price is kind of trading above it really, at least from a daily point of view. Weekly chart, not so much. We still need to close on the weekly chart, and it is only Thursday as well, so a lot can happen. But I said yesterday that if we can see a strong close down the weekly chart by the end of the week, so that will be Sunday, then I think that could take us potentially back to the all-time highs. If we do pull back and leave a big wick by the end of the week, especially if we end up closing back in this range here, so let's say today's Sunday and the market's pulled back and left a big wick and closed back within the range, well, that's not a good sign at all, and that probably means Bitcoin, Bitcoin is likely going to probably roll over back to the lows there, to be honest, and that's probably a bearish signal if anything. So that weekly candle will be very, very important because it's got a lot of resistance just above us, and of course we've had a lot of momentum to the upside. So us holding that momentum for the whole week and closing strong is a very nice signal for buyers. If it pulls back, especially if it pulls back a lot, especially if it flips bearish, that would be a horrendous if Bitcoin does that. But if it does pull back, because it's still early on the week, we're still just past the halfway point really, ish. So yeah, a lot can happen in that time, and if it does pull back, then yeah, Bitcoin probably has the capability to fall back to 78k and maybe further as well. So that weekly candle is going to be very, very vital. But in terms of areas for a buy, because this is still kind of resistance here, I'll be looking for price to pull back to the high here, or perhaps even the range here, because we did have a lovely breakout during the week but never had a retest of that zone. So those would be areas for longs. We've had a massive move. We need price to retrace if we are going to keep buying it and sending it higher. But yeah, I'll leave Bitcoin alone in this area just to see what we do. Do we keep pushing? Does Bitcoin stall and roll over? Do we close ugly on the week? All of that will paint the picture in terms of the next big swing. But I do like the momentum because this move has been very corrective. So the fact that we've seen that strong move is a bit of a breath of fresh air really, because it's been very stagnant, very corrective, hasn't really done much. But now momentum's coming in. Ideally, I want price to keep pushing, to be honest. I don't want us to kind of stall and start to do this. Ideally, I want price to keep pushing, because that means we'll have a very strong close in the week. We'll definitely be trading above all of this noise here on the left. At that point, a push to highs, I would say, is very, very likely to happen. Maybe some type of pullback somewhere, then we continue. So yeah, ideally I want to see Bitcoin keep pushing. If we continue to stall and see a dodgy close in the week, yeah, kind of back to square one at that point, to be honest. Dollar yen, Ahmed. Okay, we'll have a look. See, so USD JPY. I'll go for the yen pairs because I'm still interested in the yen pairs. So dollar yen did have a pretty nice close actually. Of course, we know we're trading at some really key support here. If we scan around, very big level of support, taking that across. So initially over there, second time over there, and third time over there as well. So it looks like price, so far anyway, is respecting that level. So there could be some nice buys here for dollar yen. In fairness, the trend has been going on for a while, so I think a decent up move in terms of a pullback is definitely on the cards, even if we are going to continue lower at some point. As I drop to the 4-hour chart, as I said yesterday, in terms of looking for a buy, I want to see some bullish structure come into play, some higher highs and higher lows, and that could give me the confidence for a buy. So something like that on the 4-hour chart would be something I would look for. Hourly chart, I think this is not a bad place for a long. It does kind of line up with the low here on the left. So I think that's not a bad place for a buy if we were to pull back into this zone. But again, I'll keep it short and sweet. I wouldn't be so optimistic about a big reversal just yet. The overall momentum is still with the bears. The higher time frame trend is still with the bears, so I wouldn't be looking for anything too crazy. We are positioned quite nicely for a big reversal. But again, a couple bullish candles on the daily chart I wouldn't be too surprised if we actually still reverse over. If we can start to form some confident higher highs and higher lows and continue to break highs, well, then we've got a nice trend to follow, and possibly that could be something of a start to a massive reversal potentially, or just a bigger pullback anyway. So yeah, dollar yen, I think this is a nice place for a buy. We're starting to see some bullish characteristics come into play, at least on the lower time frames. So yeah, I would say buys look good, pullbacks look good. 141.5, I would say 145, 141.6. I would say is a nice area to keep an eye for a buy. We've just about taken out some structure to our left over here, which is a good sign as well. And I think a big part of this is what DXY is going to do, because it's kind of the same situation. You know, we've had a very choppy push, a fairly strong sell, a fairly strong buy back up again. If you look at the DXY, it's done the exact same thing as well, of course. It's a USD pair, so you kind of expect it to, but very corrective move, big sell, big buy back up again. Are we going to continue and push? If we do see this with the dollar, you're probably going to see the same thing with dollar yen as well, of course. Yeah, regarding what yen does as well, that will play its role, but most likely you'll probably see dollar yen follow suit. So yeah, this looks like a nice place for a buy. We're still seeing momentum come into the market. I like how we're moving. It's nice and slow. So if we can get there, maybe see a strong close on the hourly chart, I think that would be a nice entry signal to take dollar yen to the upside and at least back to highs here. We could go a lot further, to be honest, so it could be a trade where you want to maybe secure profit at the highs but leave the rest to run, because if this is going to be a bottom like we did over there, you know, who knows, this could be a really big move, so might want to position yourself for that as well. But yeah, definitely bullish bias there for dollar yen for now. In terms of the other yen pairs, I'm still actually pretty bearish, so looking at, let's take a look at pound yen first. So pound yen, I'm still looking to sell this one. We did see some upside yesterday. If I drop to the 4-hour chart. So we did see some upside yesterday. Nothing too crazy. Price is still kind of struggling at resistance here a little bit. Potentially, I might be interested in the sell if I do see price give you a little bit more momentum. Perhaps even a strong close on the 8-hour might give me some confidence to short this, because the only reason why I'm not really looking to short pound yen is because I want it to pull back a little bit further. As I've been mentioning, 192, 193 is kind of my zone, which I want to short from, because it kind of continues the market structure in the daily chart very well. So you've got one high over there, second over there, third over there, and potentially a fourth in that kind of area as well. So that's kind of where I want to position myself short. But again, where I want price to get to might be different from where it actually does get to. Ideally, in the ideal world, we get there, respect that high, I find my entry, and that could be a lovely swing trade. Even if I just take it back to the low, that would be already a really nice swing trade. But my ultimate goal is still the wick low here. I still do expect pound yen to fall a lot further, so I'm definitely intrigued about the shorts. But yeah, like I said, we might not get there, so I'm going to keep an eye on this resistance, because if we do really start to struggle here, I might just have a stab at this level in terms of an entry. If I do see momentum really shift, I don't mind taking an entry here. If it does stop out and it does get back to my level, I don't mind that, because the risk reward is looking very generous with these setups here, so I wouldn't mind taking a loss to take a win. But yeah, I'll see what happens at this level. If I do see a big enough rejection, and the reason why I'm a bit more interested with this level now as well is because we've seen a big move to the upside here. So potentially that might have flushed out some early sellers, maybe sucked in some buyers. Now potentially we might flush the downside now, so that's why I'm a bit more interested. Of course, if it doesn't hold and we keep pushing, then I actually think there might be some nice buys on the way back up. Let's say if we get another strong break to the upside and we clear the level, well, then that probably provides us a nice opportunity to take a long on a retest or a high low somewhere to trade it back to 192, 193, 192.5, and then perhaps from there we can start to look for some sells again and take that big swing. But as long as price doesn't really take out the high all the way up here, as long as we don't break that that piece of structure there, I am bearish with pound yen. I'm not interested in buying it whatsoever. I'm not saying there won't be decent buy opportunities. I bet there will be, especially intraday. But from a swing bias, I think there's more probability of us coming lower than us pushing up. So I'm just going to only look for sell opportunities. At least for now, anyway. No problem, Ahmed. Happy to help. Julius, how do you manage difference in analysis trade chart with execution chart like MT5 notes analyzing gold? I wonder with gap, but MT5 no gap. Yeah, I mean it will be different from broker to broker. If you have, I mean, it depends what broker you trade with, because sometimes the broker you trade with is actually on IC markets. I like using not IC markets, sorry, TradingView. That's the broker I trade with. But I like using FXCM, the broker which I use mostly for all my FX analysis, is because it has the most data. I can go back to like the 70s, which of course I'm not going to be using that to make a trade, but I like it because it allows me to map out the higher time frame trend and any long-term standing levels in the market. So it gives me the most information. But if I'm going to take a trade, I always do my analysis again on the broker I'm trading, which is IC Markets. So I always will do the analysis again, because sometimes the price will be a little bit different, or maybe a wick will be a little bit bigger on IC Markets or a little bit smaller. So my stop loss will probably be different, maybe by like a 5 or 6 pips. Like you said, sometimes there's gaps, sometimes there is no gaps on the broker you're trading with. So I would always recommend do your analysis on TradingView, because it's the best platform for it. But wherever you do your wherever you take your trades, do your analysis there again, because it could be some differences. But of course you're analyzing the same thing. You know, pound yen is still pound yen, so you still be looking to take a similar trade. You take the short, but perhaps maybe your stop loss is a little bit wider or a little bit smaller, based on your broker's feed. So yeah, just do the analysis again. Don't just take the trade blindly, because there's been times where I've done analysis, then I go to take the trade on my broker, but where my stop loss, say for example, I normally have my stop loss above a wick high, and then when I go to enter it on my broker, my stop loss is actually just like here. So the wick's piercing through. So you wanna be aware of those things. But good question though. Good question. Lebsy, what is up? Yes, I will take a look at Swiss yen for you, no problem. I'm about to go through all the yen pairs, but yep, I will go through CHF JPY. So this one is still something I'm interested in buying, but price action has been very slow, and I'm losing a little bit of love for Swiss yen at the moment. We're still very, very corrective. You know, I said yesterday that I like how price is moving. We're in a very kind of corrective channel here. It looks like we're pushing back to the low end of that channel, so I was looking for a buy. We came back into a nice consolidation on our left where we had spent a few days, and we had a really nice big move to the upside. So there's a good chance of buys coming back into the market and pushing price higher. We had a very corrective, slow push down, so it's not like we were seeing a lot of bearish momentum either. So I do like the buys here for Swiss yen, but the only thing is CHF has just been very weak. If you go take a look at the other CHF currency pairs, they're all up for the past couple of days now, and I think they're still bullish today as well. So CHF is still quite weak, which is just why we haven't seen that push. And yeah, price action hasn't looked that great. And then we've got like a small kind of bullish engulfing candle this morning, but that's not quite doing it for me just at this moment in time. So I'm monitoring Swiss yen. I still like the buy. I still think we can push back to the high there. But if we kind of stay in this kind of stagnant kind of way and just chop around like this, unless I see a strong close, I'll probably just stay in the sidelines. I think it's still in a really nice place for a buy, especially judging how price looks. And there definitely is opportunity and value where price is, because if you do see a swing back to the high, that looks like a pretty decent risk to reward to me. So I do like the trade. I do like what I'm seeing. It's just I'm waiting for a much stronger entry signal. And at the moment, the market is still pretty flat to me. And I can pretty much just box everything with a bit of a range there. So unless we get like a strong close, like outside the range with some momentum, doesn't have to be that big, but at least a decent close just to really imply that, okay, the buyers are back in town and we've kind of left this consolidation behind us, then that would be a nice signal to take the trade. If it's kind of just continued small body candles, and if you continue to roll over as well, slowly push down, then yeah, I would have to back away. I think if we take out the wick low here, that's when I'll probably not look for the buys anymore, because that means we're breaking through this range here. We probably still see some type of up move, but at that point, it probably means we form a lower high to continue falling. So being careful of that as well. But yeah, it's still a nice level, still trading in the range, still very corrective, and yeah, if we can see a strong close, I think that would be a nice signal. But it's been a slow one. I think CHF, just because CHF is so weak right now, I mean, going through different CHF pairs, if I take a look at Aussie CHF, I mean, that one's more or less been up for the past couple of days. New Zealand CHF, that one's been up too. CAD CHF, that's been up too, but I think that's a bit more to do with CAD. But that was up a lot as well. Of course, we spoke about Euro CHF. That's had a nice swing to the upside as well. Nice swing there. So CHF has been quite weak. Again, that can change very quickly as well. So I'll keep an eye on Swiss yen. It's at a nice area, just lacking the entry. No problem, Julius, happy to help. Kindly smash the like button, appreciate that, man. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. It does help the content be shown to more people. So I do really appreciate if you do like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Good morning, Yusuf. Welcome. Hope you're doing good. What's up? No problem, Lebsy. Happy to help. But yeah, I like Swiss yen. It's still on the watch list, but yeah, just no entry for myself. Euro yen, another pair which just seems to be loving the sideways price action right now. Again, very bearish on Euro yen. Only looking to short this, but the price action is just horrendous right now on the 4-hour chart. So I am definitely staying away until things clean up. Again, it's still roughly the same idea as pound yen. We've got some lovely bearish structure in the market. We've got a high back there, a low. Market pulls back up, forms another lower high, another low. I'm looking at this again as another lower high for price to eventually form another lower low and take out some structure there on the left there. So I'm expecting a pretty big swing. Things look pretty bearish to me. It's just, how do I find an entry here? And as I mentioned yesterday, there's two ways I'm looking to do that. Either we push back into resistance, and then I can get a stop loss above all of this nonsense. So I can find an entry somewhere in there. Stops above the high, and that allows me to take full advantage of the swing, whilst having a relatively safe stop loss as well, away from all the noise. Or if we kind of pick up the pace from somewhere, let's say we have a strong bearish move, and we start to see some momentum, perhaps a trend starts to form, then I'll look for a pullback somewhere and hop into a trade on a lower high or a retest of some structure somewhere. Of course, this is very hypothetical, and I have to see how everything looks before I take the trade, but that's the only way I can take a position. I'm not going to try and take a trade in this area here. That's just a no-no. But yeah, Euro yen still very bearish bias on. As long as we don't take out this high here on our left, which is at 164.9, as long as we don't take out that high, I will retain my bearish bias and look for that big swing. If we do take out that high, I wouldn't necessarily be bullish, but I would definitely pause on that bearish bias and just kind of see what price does. Yeah, before I put anything in stone. So yeah, Euro yen still more downside. Other yen pairs which I'm not so interested in, like CAD yen. Not interested in this one bit, to be honest. We're kind of squeezing between a trend line and a support level. So as we can all see, this is our support level. Price respect on the few occasions now. Initially over there, second time, third time, and a fourth. So it's been a pretty sturdy level of support. And now we've got this trend line to deal with, which price seems to be holding pretty well as well. Initially one over there, second, a third, perhaps we get a fourth, but basically we're just kind of consolidating between these two confinements here, and until price has a breakout, probably not going to see anything interesting here for CAD for a while. So might push back into the trend line, come back down, push back into support. I suppose if you're trying to pick some short-term opportunities, there could actually be some nice trades here. Short-term buy off the low, short-term sell off the trend line, that could be a nice trade, but that's nothing that I'm looking for in terms of my personal trading. So I'll wait to see what CAD does in terms of the breakout. If we do clear support, great. That could be a really nice trade on a pullback there. So that would interest me, but again, we're a long way away from doing that. So CAD, not really interested in the price action right now. Then of course you got your Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, which I'm still bearish on, but just not really looking to sell. I'd rather try and sell pound yen or euro yen, to be honest. So I'm not really too bothered about the price action with these guys for two reasons. One, they've already had a big move down, so I'm not so interested to keep selling them. If I'm looking for a swing trade, I want to be closer to the beginning of the trend as much as possible. It doesn't have to be right at the start. It doesn't have to be the first lower high, but close to the beginning. And number two, we are already approaching some major level of support here on the weekly chart as well. Look to the left, major support level, huge move to the upside. We've just about tapped into that area there again. So this is not really the place where I want to position myself short. I'm not saying the market can't go lower. It definitely can, but it's just this is not the optimal place for a trade. Whereas pound yen and euro yen, both are kind of fairly high up, haven't taken out any major lows yet. So I think there's still a lot more downside in the tank for both of those pairs, rather than Aussie yen, rather than New Zealand yen as well. Same thing with CAD yen too. But nonetheless, if I do drop to the daily chart, this looks like a relatively healthy level of support, which could act as resistance. If price was to push back into this level, I think this would be a nice place for a short, to be honest. But again, would I look for a complete swing back to the lows? No. Maybe push back into support there. I think that would be a decent trade. But I like how we're having these really violent wicks to the upside as price kind of correctly pushes higher. It means that every time we do try and make a new high, market can't sustain it and it does come crashing back down. So we can see that happen again into resistance. That probably might give us a bigger sell there too. So yeah, shorts from 92 look pretty good there with Aussie yen. Could be a bit of downside there, but I'm not expecting a big swing. I'll keep it short and sweet with Aussie yen since we've already seen a big move. Over to New Zealand yen. Similar situation with this one as well. Again, more or less coming to an area of supply here on the left. You can see we had a brief consolidation here. Then we had the big drop. Price is trading in that area again. As you can see, we're still very corrective here. Every time we do spike higher, once, twice, a third time there, price really does struggle at the highs. So again, for New Zealand yen, if you're looking for an entry, that could be an entry there previously, but if we spike up again, I do think we'll probably eventually end up dropping. You can see we are very corrective on the way up in this ascending channel. And again, typically, ascending channels do mean that price is getting ready to turn around as well. So I do think we can see a nice bearish move there for New Zealand yen. Again, scanning the higher time frame, we've had a really big drop. Market's been bearish for a while here. So I do think this is actually not a bad place for a short. But I'm not looking to continue this trend for too long because again, we've already had a big drop. And number two, price has already come into a pretty big level of support here. We tested that a few times and we're back there again. So for those two reasons, I'm staying away from Aussie yen and New Zealand yen shorts. Again, not that they can't go lower. I could be wrong. We could still see another two lovely bearish swings. And I think we probably will actually, to be honest, because I still think the yen basket can still push higher. But as a trader, it's up to me to choose the most optimal market for my trading style and which one will give me the most bang for my buck. And I feel like Euro Yen still has a long way to go if that is going to drop. If I go to Euro Yen on the weekly chart, it's still a really nice kind of head and shoulder pattern here. You got your left over there, you got your right over there, and you got your left over there, you got your head over there, and you got your right shoulder over there. So if Euro Yen is going to respect this pattern and drop, not only am I expecting price to push to support, but I'm expecting it to break through, to break the neckline of the pattern and really get going. So this has a lot of room to the downside to push into. Pound Yen likewise as well. This still has a lot more room to give to. We've seen some lovely low highs there. I'm expecting this to push into that wick low and probably break through as well. So that's why I like these pairs, because they haven't moved yet. There's opportunity there, which is kind of why I like silver to gold, because silver nowhere near all-time highs, still kind of just messing around, to be honest, but eventually it's going to pick up the pace and there'll be some really nice swing trades there too. Whereas gold already at all-time highs. If anything, I'm expecting some big sells now for gold. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs. And let me quickly go through the yen basket as well, because this is kind of what I'm expecting the yen basket to do. Again, similar situation, nice kind of head and inverse head and shoulder pattern here with the yen basket. So you got your left, you got your head, you got your right shoulder. Of course, that is your neckline, but again, I'm expecting that to break for us to push higher. So the yen basket for me still has room to drop. If I inverse head and shoulder, If I invert the chart, you can see the head and shoulder pattern there, left, head, right. I do think this can drop and see a lot more downside. So, I mean, possibly maybe a move to here as well. So, yeah, the yen basket to me looks like it's got more room to give, more upside to give as well from a swing perspective. So that's kind of why I kind of feel like Aussie yen and New Zealand yen can still continue. But I'd rather trade pound and euro. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the yen pairs. And like I said, if pound yen does give me a big enough reaction here, I probably will have a stab at this. Some entries in this area. It'd be nice if the A tower can give me a decent close, to be honest. So I'll see how which is in the next 3 hours. If I can get a decent close there, I wouldn't mind having a stab here. Stop losses above the high and targets back at the low. Then I'll probably leave positions to run to the wick low here. And that would look like a pretty decent risk reward if you ask me. So, yeah, there's opportunity there for the yen pairs. But we have to wait and see. You have to get the entry first. And like I said, this is... I'm willing to have a stab at this level. If it doesn't work out, then I do have my more preferred level up there at 192. What's up, Tony Gold? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. If you don't mind sharing your average trade placement per week. I mean, what is the average trade per week you do take? Oh, okay. I was going to say trade placement. Again, I probably average between 1 and 2 trades per week. But again, that's a very rough average, because I could go 2 weeks without placing a trade, or I could potentially take 4 or 5 trades in 1 week as well. But I would say across a year, it does probably average around 1 to 2. But again, most of my entries are on the 4-hour chart. I used to enter a lot on the hourly, but the past year I've made the switch to the 4-hour chart. So my frequency has dropped a little bit. Yusuf, please look at pound USD in the 15. Sure thing. Price 1.327. Switch to the 5 minutes. I took at that level early. You got stop out twice. Please, you personally, on which candle on the 5 minute would you decide to enter? Okay, not too sure what you're talking about, but let's go take a look. Let me just clean the chart so I can see what you're talking about. So 1.32704. Okay, that's basically there. And switch to the 5 minute. I took that level earlier. Got stopped out twice. Please, personally, which candle on the 5 minute would you decide to enter? Okay. Oh, okay. So were you taking a buy here? But my third entry, it hit the target though. I'm still trading it. I had five confidence for the trade, and it favored my 4 hour trade I took yesterday. Oh, okay. So I imagine you took a long here. You got stopped out twice, but the third time it worked. I mean, sometimes the market will be a little bit annoying and do that to you sometimes. Sometimes I'll go through that as well, where I get stopped out on two earlier trades, and then potentially the third one goes and works as well. Because if you're going to have a small stop loss size, you know, you have to be prepared to potentially get stopped out a few more times if you're going to prioritize risk reward. But yeah, really nice move there to the upside. I would imagine you're looking for that higher low, then you drop to the 5 minute for an entry. Again, I mean, depends on where your levels were or where you're kind of buying from. Let me drop to the 15. Because when I'm looking for an entry, normally I'm looking for shift of momentum, and normally I'm looking for wicks. Wicks and shift of momentum basically just means a strong close compared to the initial momentum coming in. So for example, if there was a lot of bearish momentum coming into a level where I need a lot of bullish momentum to suffice a reversal, if there was very small momentum coming in where I wouldn't need as big of a close for me to justify a trade. Here we had not that much momentum. It was a little bit corrective, so that's a good sign. So I would suggest probably, I mean, that candle probably wouldn't be big enough for me to suffice a turnaround, especially no real wick rejections. This candle though, that would look nice. A nice wick to the downside and a nice push up higher. So I wouldn't mind having a go at this candle here. And then I'll place my stops a little bit below the low with a bit of wiggle room. So depending on how much wiggle room, you might have got stopped out on the wicks here on the left, or maybe you might have just managed to keep yourself in the trade. I never will have my stop loss like this just below the wick, because especially if you're going for a refined entry, that leaves you a little bit exposed to just a wick to get taken out. I always give myself a little bit of room, something like this, but it might not be enough. I might have got wicked out there. But then again, that would have been a nice entry as well, because at this point, the market's providing a lot of wicks to the downside, and now I see momentum shift as well. So that would be a nice entry, or I could have waited to enter here as well, because we did have a lot of consolidation here. So that would be a nice entry breaking out of that range as well. Again, stops in a similar place with a bit of room, and lovely move there to the upside. But yeah, my suggestion would be probably had your stop loss a little bit too close. You don't want it to be right underneath the wick low. You want to give yourself a little bit of room. Of course, if you have it underneath the wick low, then you kind of increase your risk reward a little bit. But especially on the lower time frames, you're going to get these kind of random wicks out of nowhere that would just be enough to pinch you out of a trade. For example, you could have a stop loss just above that wick there and just got wicked out there, and prices drop against you. So you want to give yourself a little bit of room. In terms of pips, it's difficult to say how many. Normally when I'm taking my positions, I always eyeball it. I don't have like a certain pip value which I say, okay, I've got to give myself X amount of room. It's just how I see the market, because sometimes the market is very volatile, so I'll give myself a bit more room. If the market is very flat, well, I don't need to give myself as much room. So, and of course it depends on the time frames as well. So yeah, I would suggest give yourself a bit more room on your stop loss, because even if you entered here, you probably could still be in the trade. And if you did get wick out, then you enter the next one. So you take one loss for one win. And of course, if you prioritize risk to reward, you know, that win there would definitely outweigh the loss you took. And that's the aim of trading. It's either you're focusing on win rate, trying to win as much as possible, and you probably have a similar loss for your reward in terms of your loss is probably the same amount. In terms of your wins, probably take a loss of 1R, win 1R, but you're going to have a high win rate. or you're going to have a slightly lower win rate, but you're going to maximize your risk to reward. And if that's the case, if you're going to maximize your risk to reward, then you're not so concerned with win rate. You're more concerned just positioning yourself well in areas that could potentially give you a big move. Because if they do, well, that's what you're looking for. But yeah, it looks really good there for pound USD. I have to admit, nice move to the upside, looking good. You say you're trading stops at the moment, aren't you? Do you have a finite target for that trade in terms of where you're looking to close all profits, or are you just going to let the market run and just see how it goes? But I have to say, it is looking pretty good there. I think USD is still seeing a little bit of weakness. Yeah, we're still pushing into that zone. But this will be an interesting area, because if it does hold, and I do think we can turn around here and possibly see a bit of a rally. But so far, still looks pretty bearish. I'm not going to suggest that just yet. I can even refine the level to this wick here. So yeah, I'm not going to suggest any buys just yet, but this is an interesting level. If price does get here, starts to find some wicks as well, maybe sees a nice close, well, that would indicate some buys. At least suspect a move there, but again, I'm looking for a much bigger move than that, because the dollar is very stretched, and especially this week's candle too. I mean, I know it's only Thursday. If I get rid of my drawings, I know it's only Thursday, but we are leaving quite a big wick there to the downside, because of course we started the week very bearish, which gave us that initial push, and then slowly, as the week's gone on, we've erased that move and left behind a bit of a wick. Like I said, it's only Thursday. We've still got the rest of today and tomorrow before this candle does close. But if it leaves a big wick like that, well, to me, this is giving me the impression that, okay, a low is probably forming here for the dollar, and we might be seeing some pullbacks over the next couple of weeks or two. Also, a couple of weeks already means two. So yeah, that's kind of my take there on the dollar. So I'd watch out for that level, because if it does hold, I think some strength is going to be coming in. Lighton, what is up, my man? I hope you are well. How's USD ZAR doing today, and USD CAD? No problem, we'll take a look. Looks like we could be seeing some dollar strength creeping back into the market soon if this support holds. I know dollar is still looking pretty weak right now, but it depends what we do at this 99.250 area. If it does hold, I would have a bullish bias there for the dollar. Anyway, yeah, we'll take a look at USD ZAR and dollar CAD for you, no problemo. What is your view on Trump manipulating the market, particularly on the tariff matters with China? Don't really have a view, to be honest. As a trader, it's not really none of my business. I'm just focused on the price action, finding good opportunities where there's value. Trump can do whatever he wants and says whatever he wants. The market will react however the market wants to react. And it's up to me to kind of just be prepared for anything, and making sure that I'm positioning myself correctly according to my edge and according to my analysis well in the market. But if Trump says something and the markets go volatile, then there's little I can do. All I have to be is just prepared for it, making sure I'm not over leveraged, or I'm not risking anything stupid or over trading, essentially. But anything can happen at any time, really, to be honest. So yeah, my take is just be prepared, manage your risk, and just follow your edge, follow your analysis. That's all you can do. Dark Sean, have a look at NAS, 130 pips pullback in 1 hour. Okay, crazy movement. NAS seems to be doing some craziness lately. But yeah, we'll have a look at NAS. Yusuf, I haven't actually decided on target, because initially my target was at the prior high, but then I remember my long position on the 4 hour, so I felt that there's more room to the upside. Okay, fairs. I mean, that's fine as well. I mean, again, you don't necessarily have to have a target for a trade. You can just be looking to trail stops. There is nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I mean, just trail stops if that's the case. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, yeah, I'll just manage the trade in that case if that's the plan. But yeah, at the moment, momentum looks good for pound. I think just trail below the lows and you'll be good to go. It's been a pretty decent move as well. So yeah, I think trading stops is actually a good way to manage it as well. But let me go for USDZAR and USD CAD. We'll have a look at NAS as well. No problem, Julius. So USDZAR, what's happening? Did we bounce at that level? Nope, we didn't quite get there. So this was the zone I was talking about yesterday as a nice place for a buy. Just about missed it before prices turn around there. I still think we can get there, to be honest. So I think still keep an eye on this level because I really like it. Strong resistance, massive break to the upside. Haven't seen price come back to retest it yet. So I think it's still a nice place for a buy. Perhaps price is having a pullback before it does make its way there. Forms another lower high because we've been pretty consistent with them. We had initially the high over there. Next one down there. And of course, you've got your third one there as well. So looking for a fourth for us to continue down. And again, looking for this as a buy. But nothing too crazy from this level. As I said, I'm not expecting a push back to highs. We already had a big move here, and all price did was just smash into that level and turn around very aggressively. So I'm not expecting us to make the same move there. Again, it could happen, but you just got to deal with probability. I'll expect to bounce, but probably will end up forming a lower high to push back down again. I would watch out for kind of these areas for targets. I feel like those would be areas where we could reverse from. Even this high here too. So yeah, USDZAR still do have that kind of bullish bias as price comes down to 18.4. That would be the area I would be interested for a buy. I think this could be a nice place for a short as well in the meantime too. So I would still consider the retest of that low there at 18.75. Judging price there, probably on the hourly chart. I think that'll be a nice place for a short. But I really like the buys there down low as well. So yeah, 18.75 shorts, 18.4 longs. Where was I? USD CAD. So USD CAD, kind of the same situation in terms of I'm expecting a bit of a bounce for this one. In terms of the price action, we're seeing signs of that happening as well. As you can see, a lovely level of support taken across here. Then for the past few days, it was holding as resistance here. Multiple attempts of price trying to break through, all failed. And then we had a really strong close yesterday. And now price looks like it's coming back to retest it as support. So what this looks like to me is that price has had a lovely consolidation. We've had a break and simply coming back to retest it. And a nice confluence of a big level running through the market as well as adding to the confluence of the trade. But the key thing for USD CAD is if we can respect this, because this could be our first higher low. The market's been incredibly bearish for a while, but I'm looking for dollar CAD to retrace, and perhaps now we're seeing signs of that happening. Of course, like I said earlier, DXY will play a vital role in this reversal. If the DXY can hold on to this, well then that will give us upside for the dollar, and of course that will correspond to some upside on dollar CAD most likely. So in terms of some ideas for dollar CAD, I'm looking to see what we can do here. If we can get a strong close in the hourly chart, perhaps a strong close in the hourly chart on the DXY as well at the same time, that'll give me some nice confidence for a buy there. And again, doesn't have to be anything too crazy. If you can get a push back to the high here, I think that's a solid target for the trade. Nothing too crazy back to our high. I think we can retrace further. I spoke about a retracement back into this level before some shorts again, and that's still roughly what I'm looking at for a swing trade. So I think we can go further, but there's nothing wrong with taking most of your profits there, keeping it intraday, and you can always leave some positions to run if you want to really take advantage of that retracement. But yeah, dollar CAD, I do have somewhat of a bullish bias here. I'm expecting retracement, and now we're seeing price action mimic that as well. So We'll see what we can do at 1.384. If we hold, I feel like that's a really nice place for a buy. Okay, let's take a look at NAS. Darkshore said we've done 130 pips in the past 1 hour. Oh wow, we have pulled back quite a lot there. So I was having a look at the 5-minute chart. Where were we? I think we were over here. Or here even. Yeah, because I looked at it right at the start of the stream. So I was like 10.15, 10.20, so around there. So we already pulled back quite a lot. And if I measure that roughly, that's about 70 odd pips there to the upside. So it's been a decent move there for the NAS, and that's only on the 5-minute chart as well. But yeah, with NAS, I still like the possibility for more downside. Of course, we got that gap on the daily chart from yesterday's open. So as we can see, we opened up there, leaving behind a pretty big gap, which I think is still likely to fill. And to be honest, this up move does give opportunities for sales because you got the gap there. Price has already filled a little bit of it, but we've still got more of a way to go back to 18,400, 18,300. So as we do pull back into this area, as long as we can maintain these lower highs, I'll be looking for shorts around 18,600. I think that's a healthy place for a short, and there is a lots of space for us to maneuver in. So could be looking at about 230 pips, which is, again, as we understood, it's not such a big move because this, again, is only the 5-minute chart. But yeah, NAS to me, nice upside, but I am expecting a bit of a top. Yeah, I figured you were measuring from the bottom. But yeah, since we last spoke, it's been 70 pips, which is still a lot, again, just for a 5-minute chart. But yeah. What's up, Manzondi? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. What is up? LFTJ, funny closing my BT trade. That was good run, nice. Okay, yeah, BT has given us some red flags there, hasn't it? Looks like it's failing at the highs there a little bit. Oh, that's the 5-minute chart. Let's get to the 4-hour chart. So yeah, we have kind of slowed down a little bit. But yeah, it's been a good run. I think you said you got long from 83k roughly, so 83 to 93 roughly. That's a pretty decent move there for BTC. Pretty decent move. No problem. Happy to help. Happy to help Yusuf as well. Joe, what's my take on gold? Okay, I'll have a look at gold. So yeah, I mean, with gold, it's coming to an interesting level because it looks like we could be forming potentially a head and shoulder pattern. And again, we're looking for a bit of a top to form on gold because I'm expecting a pretty big move down for gold. In fairness, we've seen a decent one. You know, this sell-off was not small. It looks a bit small because we just had such big moves. But yesterday, we measured this move from the high to the low and compared it to the previous swing. And you can see it's actually bigger than this swing here from the high to the low. So, and this was a pretty big swing when it happened. You know, we had a lot of upside, a pretty big meltdown. And this is actually bigger than that just because we've had a lot of upside. It doesn't look like it. But yeah, for gold, we've had didn't mean to do that. For gold, we've had a big bearish move, but the way I'm looking at it right now is that, you know, we've had a very impulsive swing up, a very impulsive swing back down. Is this potentially a bit of a top for gold? We're due one. It could be. I would say if we can respect 33.50, maintain that as resistance, I think that's a really nice place for a short, and we could be seeing a head and shoulder form, which of course would be a characteristic of a high forming. So yeah, I'll be pretty bearish with gold if we maintain that. If we break above it, so if we break above this high, then I'll be bullish again, and I would expect us just to swing back to highs. So if I drop to the hourly chart, What I would like to see in terms of an entry would be another push back into resistance like so, another rejection there, and that would be a nice place for an entry. Something like that, stops above the high there, bit of room, and then targets back at the swing low, or even this range here on the left. I think that'll be a nice place for a target. We stalled here for a couple of days at least before we had a big swing there, so we could see a draw, price draw towards that area. If that wasn't the case and price does break resistance here, well, then we'll probably start to form some bullish structure, perhaps a retest of that area as support, and then we could be looking at some buys. And then, yeah, since gold is still overly very bullish, I would expect us to swing back to highs at that point too. So I can see gold going both ways. I'm a little bit more bearish now on gold because I'm expecting a top to form. But if we do break this resistance and we see a lovely move beyond that, we see a nice corrective swing, then I would be bullish back to the high there. But it's going to be interesting to see what we do at this level. I would wait for that double top to form first before finding some entries. So yeah, I would wait for a little bit of a move, see what price does. Can we respect it? If so, then yeah, I think that is a nice opportunity to short gold and see some downside. Because in my book, we are in desperate need of a pullback soon. This was a very, very big move there for gold. We've hit a big psychological level. Let's not forget that. We literally hit 3,500 to the pip, to be honest. You know, I'm literally drawn 3,500 in there. And we literally just spiked it just about a slight push above, which is quite surreal because it's almost like price got to that level and decided, okay, time to sell. That's literally what happened. So, yeah, very pivotal psychological level. We smash into that level and it's been a bit of a reversal. So let's see if price can continue. No problem, Joe. Happy to help. Franklin, check pound USD. Okay. Pound's been pretty bullish, at least this morning anyway. We're still kind of trading in this range where I said that in the week that we might see some buyers enter back into the market, because you can see we had a kind of a weird kind of consolidation here. Price was very slow. And of course, we opened up for the week and had a really strong move to the upside. So that's where all that momentum came from. Since then, we pull back to retest the area and looks like we're seeing some more bullish momentum come back into the market. However, I still do favor a lot more downside for pound. I'm not interested in buying it just yet. I think longer term, pound's got a lot of room to the upside to maneuver into. I'm looking for at least a push to 1.4, which is all the way up there. So I still think there's a lot of upside to be had. But I need price to retrace first. And of course, looking to the left where we've come into a pretty big level of resistance as well. So this is not the time to be mapping out swing positions. By swing positions, I mean like if you're looking to hold for a few days, or potentially more than a week, not the best place to be looking to buy the market. If anything, kind of get ready for some shorts. I'm looking for a pullback of this bullish move here. So if I map out the swing from the low to the high, this is kind of the areas where I want price to pull back into before I do look for any type of longer term swing trade. Again, I'm not looking to swing it all the way to 1.4. That's just like a long term projection. I wouldn't be looking to hold the position that far. Maybe I might leave a small position to trail, but at the most. But yeah, something like this will look good. That will at least give me room to swing at least back into the high for a decent move, and potentially a bit further than that as well. This zone here, I think, looks good from an intraday point of view. As we mentioned, that's where a lot of momentum came from at the start of the week. We're right there again, respecting it too. But even if we do move back into resistance here, I would be cautious that we don't see some selling pressure kick back in and we don't go for a bigger move, especially if the DXY can hold on to that support level. If the dollar can respect this support level here and turn around, well, then I'm going to expect pound USD to do the same, but of course in the opposite direction. But yeah, it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a long-term swing, I'd wait for at least to push into 1.31 before buying. If you're looking for some buys at the moment, well, we've kind of already pushed away. So if you're looking for buys here, you'd be wanting to see another push to the downside, back into support again, and then maybe there might be some longs off the low here. And if you're looking to short the market, I would wait for us to push back into resistance, potentially double top it. That will be a safe place for a short and stop losses above. So yeah, that's kind of my take on pound. I actually do like the pair though, but I want to see that bigger pullback first. Okay, you're ready. Ready on a buy on gold. Nice. Is that from earlier today, or is that from is that an earlier position? What's up, Rodney? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. Representing Kenya, doing a good job at that. Glad to have you on the stream. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do really appreciate everyone on the stream, chatting with myself. Of course, leaving kind messages as well. I do really appreciate that. So if you could do me a favor, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell. That would be brilliant. Currently, I'm in a short position pound CAD. Hasn't been moving too well. Price is still kind of firing a lot of wicks to the downside and still not really seeing much momentum. If I do see momentum go against me, I will look to close the trade early, but we've been very, very flat since the last time we spoke. I think the last time we spoke, we were over here, I think. Wednesday, 10 a.m. So yeah, around there. Market was very, very flat. And we've been pretty much in this range here since then. So I'm just going to look to see what price does. If we do end up breaking to the upside, I will close the trade early because I am going to counter trend. The longer term trend here for pound CAD is up, but my expectation is that we are starting to form some lower highs. I'm looking to try and see if I can capitalize on the top of the trend and capitalize on a drop. But if that isn't the case, if the trend still wants to push on, I want to make sure that I'm out of the way of that and just looking for re-entries, to be honest, because if price does get back to the high again, well, then I'll be more than happy to find a trade to jump back in for a short. If, of course, we do break the trend line and break structure, well, then at that point, we're probably going to push the highs anyway. So I will back away and move out of the way of price because, yeah, perhaps the trend is going to continue. I'm looking to see if we can top out here, form a third lower high, at least get a swing back into support here at 1.8 roughly. And maybe I leave positions to run to 1.748, 74841. If things look really good. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm waiting to see what we do in this range, really, which way we break out. If it is a bullish move and a strong enough one as well, if it's just a slight candle, I'll probably hold the trade. But if it's a strong one, I'll close out early and then hopefully look for some re-entries. But if we can break lower, well, we're looking good and hopefully we do see a swing back into support. But that's the only position I'm in at the moment. I was looking at CHF JPY longs, but it didn't really set up well, so I stayed away from that one. Need a lot more momentum before I consider a buy. At the moment, I'm considering some pound yen shorts, to be fair. If I do see a strong enough close to the downside, I will see if I can hop into a short. Risk reward looks really good. I'm expecting a swing back to lows here at 180. So, yeah, risk reward looks really good. A lot of room to maneuver in. Trading at a nice area. Just need to see a big enough rejection for me to actually press the trigger to jump into a position. And if we don't respect this, if we do go higher, then I'll look at 192. So these are the two areas where I'm looking to try and short pound yen from, and pretty much the same targets, which is why I like pound yen, because there's a lot of room to the downside. Just basically looking for the next lower high, 1, 2, 3, and 4, either there or there. Yeah, those are the pairs which I like at the moment. Again, I do like some USD pairs like pound USD longs, Aussie dollar longs, NZD USD longs. I think they look really, really good. They just need a pullback. Unfortunately, we've been starved of that for the past few weeks. NZD USD has been loving life, lovely push to the upside, just chugging away. It's looking bullish again at the moment. So I need price to pull back. I'm looking at 0.585 for some longs down here. I think that'll be a great place for a trade, and still expecting a pretty big move there for the USD2. So I'd love to get into a long position for this one. But again, I can't be doing anything at this price here. I think that'll be good intraday if you're looking to get in and out within the day. I think that's a nice little trade there for the USD at the moment. But if you're looking to try and swing it for multiple days, we need to at least see a bigger pullback to give us a bit more room to work in. Seems like a tough time to trade. Yeah, I mean, it is a volatile time to trade. Yeah, of course, that can happen. Trump could do something which could let you turn the whole narrative on its head, and things go the opposite way. So yeah, I mean, but from trading for a while, from experience, there's always something in the market that could change very quickly and cause things to change very quickly as well. Of course, there will be some times where things are a bit more quiet than other times, and of course, things were a bit more noisy than other times. But as long as you're managing your risk, as long as you got a plan, you got a plan of action, that's very important. Not just kind of jumping where you're just seeing a bit of movement. As long as you got a plan of how you're going to execute and manage trades and why you get into trades in the first place, as long as you're managing your risk as well, you're not over trading, not overexposing your account, and I don't really see too much issue in it. Yes, the market's be volatile. Maybe you get wicked out maybe a couple more times than normal. But then again, if there's still a solid trade, you can always re-enter. And of course, as long as you have an edge there, then you expect that to play out over the long run. So yeah, it's not the best time, but I don't mind it personally, because if you're on the right side of it, it can be a really good boost to your trade as well. But I understand. Yeah, but those type of things we don't really have control over. You know, Trump could say anything at any time, but you're not gonna not trade for the whole, 4 years he's in the office. As long as you're managing your risk, I don't really see an issue. What about BTC? Okay, I'll have a look at Bitcoin. Raheel, Aussie Yen, no problemo. We'll take a look. So yeah, Bitcoin, interesting. Really strong move to the upside past couple of days. I'm really looking to see how the weekly candle closes, because I feel like that will provide a lot of context in terms of the current move, because we've seen a really big move here. It's only Thursday. We've still got rest of today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday before this does close. But we are trading into resistance. So that's why I say it's really interesting, because if we do respect this level and pull back and leave a bigger wick, that's not really good. Potentially next week we'll roll over further. If we could see this continue to push through and see a strong close, well, that shows momentum is holding, possibly breaking above this level, and then the following week I'll be expecting just price to continue to rally. So I think the weekly will be an interesting close. But the biggest takeaway from Bitcoin is definitely the corrected move down and a sharp break to the upside. So I am bullish here. I think a nice opportunity would be for it to pull back nice and slowly onto a level like this. I feel like that would be a nice buy at some point in time if it does pull back there. But because this bearish move hasn't been so strong, it's been very corrective, I do think we can see price still push through. I do think we can still see price push through and possibly back to highs as well. But again, just keeping in mind the weekly chart just to see what we do. But yeah, strong break. I'll look at pullbacks and continuation. And I think a pushback to the all-time highs isn't unreasonable. I think it's still a fairly decent chance we see that move. Okay, I'll go through Aussie Yen next. We'll take a look at gold as well. Dollar CAD on 5-minute chart, sure. We'll take a look as soon as he sneezes. Yeah, of course. Sneezes or farts. One of the two. Joe, How do you deal with FOMO and patience? Good question. I feel like, in terms of patience, I feel like that comes from a good understanding of what you're looking for in the market. Because once you really know what you're looking for, how you're going to enter, how you're going to manage, and also knowing that the opportunities you'll find in the market will be enough to see the results you want to see by the end of the year, then by default you become more patient, because you know you're going to get enough opportunities to make the results you want to get. You know that you know exactly what you're looking for. So when you see something that's outside of that, you're not going to rush into it because it's just none of your business. So you just need to follow your plan and follow your edge, and you will achieve roughly where you wanna be with it in terms of your results. Once you have that understanding, then you won't be so you won't be rushing to jump into a position out of fear because you feel like you might miss on something. Yes, you might miss a move here and there, but again, over the span of a year, missing one move here and there is not going to derail your career. So once you have that understanding that, okay, I'll have enough opportunities, even if I miss a bunch, I'll still have enough opportunities to make the results I want. And I know exactly what I'm looking for as well. When you have that kind of clarity, then patience and fear of missing out becomes a lot less. Of course, there's nothing I can tell you to get rid of it completely, because even with that understanding, you probably would still have that slight fear if you do miss a trade. If I am planning out a trade which I really like and I potentially miss it, I'll be a bit bummed out if I do miss the trade, of course. So there's nothing I can tell you to eradicate that completely, but once you have good understanding of what you're after, knowing that your edge will provide you the results you're after, and then knowing that all you have to do is just take the trades that you do find, and it's okay if you miss a few here and there across the year, not just now, across the year, you still do well. Then your patience becomes second nature, because you don't need to rush anything. So I think that's the biggest advice I can give you. Because when you do have fear of missing out, it comes from a place that, okay, I'm not going to achieve the results I'm after. If you lack patience, it comes from a place that, okay, I'm not going to achieve the results I'm after, so I have to take this trade, I have to get involved. If you don't have that need to have to, because you know you're going to do it anyway, well, you won't struggle with fear of missing out as much, or patience. So yeah, hopefully that helped. Anyway, let me take a look at Aussie Yen. So AUDJPY. So I like the shorts for Aussie Yen. I like the shorts. 92 looks like a really nice level for a sell. I'm not as enthusiastic about selling Aussie Yen as I am Pound Yen, for example. I think that looks like a much better trade just because of where we're located in the higher time frames and the room we can move into. But I think this is still a decent level. The reason why I'm not as enthusiastic about shorting Aussie Yen is because we've already seen a big move on the weekly chart, and we've just come back into a really big level of support. So I don't think there is as big of a move left in Aussie Yen anymore. We could still go lower, of course we can, but I think we'll have a bit more joy with Pound Yen or Euro Yen. But anyway, we are coming back to a nice bit of structure here. You can see price support there. We broke through that with a lot of momentum. Price hasn't come back to revisit that level just yet. So I think that's a nice place to short from. If we can see a nice corrective pullback, which we are seeing so far, continue to come back to retest 92, I think that'll be a lovely place for a short. You can see every time we have a bit of a spike to the upside, market forms a high, comes straight back down. We created a new high there, came straight back down, created a new high there. Provided we haven't really come down that much yet, but it does look like we are seeing price respect that. So if you do have another rally, pinch the high again, probably see another wick form. I feel like shorts from 92 look like a really nice place. And support roughly in this area looks like a good place to target. I'm not too sure if I'll try and take the trade further than that, but even that move looks like a decent move there anyway. So yeah, Aussie Yen shorts from 92 I think look good. I wouldn't probably try and look for a swing back to the low, but maybe a day or two, I feel like you can get a decent trade there. Okay, so I'll take a look at gold and then we'll go through dollar CAD and New Zealand yen on the 15 as well. BTC correlated S&P 500, yeah, to a degree. I know people look at BTC and NAS quite a lot, and of course NAS and S&P are very correlated too. So yeah, you could definitely say that they are correlated positively. Isn't that the question? When will gold have a breakout to the downside? If I had the answer to that, I'll be loading up the shorts right now. So yeah, in terms of gold, as I mentioned earlier, there's a bit of a head and shoulder pattern at play here. So if I drop to the 4 hour, actually let me go to FXCM. There we go. So if I drop to the 4 hour, which I'm on the 4 hour already, actually if I drop to the hourly, you can see we've got resistance here at 33.50 running through the market here. If we can respect that level, I think that's a nice place for a short for gold, potentially looking for that head and shoulder pattern. So of course you got your left, you got your head, and then of course your right shoulder. So I would be looking for a swing back into support and potentially the zone just underneath us here. Nice kind of range, lovely break to the upside. We're yet to come back to retest it, so we could see price draw towards that area. So I think if we can get there again, see a decent reaction, nice bearish engulfing candle, maybe some wicks to the upside, that would suffice as a nice entry. Stops above the high, bit of wiggle room. I feel like that would be a nice trade. If we don't get that and price just rallies through the zone, then this could end up being a nice place for a buy, and perhaps we are still going to see price push back to highs. Because of course gold is still bullish. This has been a lovely bearish leg. But if we don't see momentum continue to sell, then perhaps it's just a pullback for price to go higher. And a break of this resistance, then I'll be favoring us to continue higher. But if we stay nice and corrective, reject that level some more, I feel like that'd be a nice trade, perhaps in the afternoon today or maybe early tomorrow. And yeah, there's targets for us to aim for. And gold is due a correction. Gold is due a bit of a breather anyway. So perhaps this could be the point where it's coming into the market, and you've got some areas there to look at for us to pull back into. But when gold is going to drop, I have no idea. I have no idea. Okay, let me have a look at dollar CAD, then I'll go over to New Zealand yen. So dollar CAD, you said on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, dollar CAD 5, okay. So I like the support level we're trading at. This is more from a 4 hour, 1 hour zone. So as you can see, lovely zone here. Taking that across the market was lovely resistance there. Beautiful break to the upside. Now it looks like we're coming for a retest of that same area. So I said on the hourly chart, if we can see a strong bullish engulfing candle, I feel like that would be a nice entry for USD CAD to the upside. But that, of course, would be the hourly chart. From a 5-minute perspective, if we are going to reverse from this area, first of all, I like the consolidation we're seeing because it looks like price is bottoming out potentially, especially after such a big bearish move. If we could see a nice rally here for dollar CAD to the upside, kind of mimicking this bearish move, then I would expect some pullbacks and some buying opportunities off the back of that. And I think that would be a nice buy in the 5-minute. Because you had a really corrective move on the way down, suddenly a big sell, and now price is pausing. If we could recover that move, again, in a similar fashion to the way we came down, so some nice momentum on the way back up, then I would favor a correction and then a continuation to the upside, and that could be a really nice trade. Again, maybe later this afternoon, or, I mean, it's the 5-minute chart, so yeah, maybe later this afternoon. I feel like that would be a really nice buy, based on the fact that we are reversing here. So impulse down, consolidation, impulse back up, correction, continuation, and maybe some targets back at the high. Again, that's up to you. I'll leave that up to you. But dollar CAD is coming into a nice place. Initially a nice move. The plan is just looking for the continuation of that bullish push. And I would also suggest keep an eye on the DXY as well. because if the DXY is going to hold support here, then that will give us the kick to the upside we need. If I drop to the 5-minute chart, the dollar looks like it's running out momentum a little bit. We are looking very corrective on the way down here, which is a good sign. If we can keep that up, maybe see a nice impulsive breakout, that could be the sign that, okay, dollar strength is coming back into the market. Excuse the messy drawing. And then that could be the nice buy. So if you can see something like that in the dollar, at the same time we get that with dollar CAD, then that would be a nice indication for some buys. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD CAD. I'll take a look at New Zealand yen on the 15 for Franklin. So New Zealand yen 15-minute chart. I think we're still in that zone, aren't we? Yeah. So just quickly from a 4-hour perspective, I'm actually looking for another sell here for New Zealand yen because we're trading in a nice area of supply on the daily chart. So as you can see, we spent a couple days here, nice wick to the upside, and this is of course where we had a massive drop to the downside, and now price is trading at a similar price again. So I do think we can see a bit of a drop, even perhaps just back to support here on the left. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but even a move like that is something worth trading on the lower time frames, which can definitely give you a decent risk reward opportunity. So I'm expecting a bit of a drop there. So if I was to drop on the 15, and you get rid of this, I'll get rid of that as well. We know it's there. So from a 15-minute perspective, I would be looking to see if price can rally back to the highs again. So back to that territory, and then I can look for a sell up there. So see a nice rejection. I want to catch a nice bounce to the downside, because every time the market does sweep a high, we do have a pretty aggressive reaction shortly after. We create a high back over there, took out the high, we got a little bit of a sell. Likewise over here as well, we took out the high here, got a bit of a sell there as well. So I would imagine we'll probably see something similar again if we can take out the high and then some more shorts. And that will also give you a nice place to put your stop loss as well. Because if you enter here and you put your stop loss there, well, I would say your stop loss is pretty much exposed. You know, price doesn't have to work too hard to take your stop loss out and flush you out the position. So if you can get your stop loss right high, up at the highs, especially if you take out the high first as well, see a nice indication. I'm not saying short directly after taking out the high. I'd wait for us to take out the high first, start to reject it, maybe some wicks, a bearish engulfing candle forming, then hop into a trade there, stops above the high with a bit of room, and even a push back to the midpoint of this channel. So if I quickly go back to the 4-hour chart, so of course you can see this is the high of the channel, that's the low of the channel. That kind of dotted grayish line is the midpoint of the channel. I would suggest that looks like a good target as well. You know, push back to the high, trade it back to the middle. I think that's a solid place for a take profit, especially on the 15 as well, because you're not necessarily looking for such a big move there. But yeah, that's kind of where I'll be with NZD JPY on the 15. Looks good. Gold looks good to go short, but it's hard to short gold in the current climate. Yeah, I agree. Again, gold does desperately need a big push to the downside. It's very overbought, very overextended. It's still going to need a really hefty correction. When it does come through, it probably will be quite violent as well. And we did see a nice move the past couple of days, but I do think gold needs even more of a correction than that, to be honest. So yeah, I think gold does look like a good sell in terms of value as well, because if you think about it, everyone's seeing bullish price action. Probably everyone's just buying into that buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where there's no one left to buy gold, and there will be a pretty big relief in the price action as we get every bullish cycle. You know, all it takes, just look back through history. Even the cycle here in 2020. A big bullish move there. What happened? We had a pretty big relief in price. If I measure that in percentage, that was almost a 20% drop. So if you could imagine, I mean, even this was colossal. I'm not too sure if we'll have as big of a correction as that for gold. I think we haven't rallied as much for that. But this correction was 45%. But let's just stick to 20. I think 20 is a bit more reasonable. If we have a 20% correction from the high, that would take us to about here, which isn't anything too crazy. 45% would take us back to just under 2K. I think that would be a bit excessive, to be honest. I mean, you could still do that. I think 20%, more or less back to this area is not such a bad correction, especially if it takes a slow kind of staggered move. So you have initial strong drop, maybe a bit of a recovery, and we slowly do something like that. I feel like we can get something like that for gold. Again, it could happen now, it could happen next week, or in the next 3 months, or we could still rally throughout the whole year as well. So that's the tricky part. Gold is definitely overextended, but we could still rally to 4K first before we even think about having a reversal. So you don't want to be just jumping into shorts blindly. Of course, if there's a good opportunity to short the market, yes, by all means go for it, because I believe the risk is worth the reward. But if you're seeing signs of, okay, no, the market's still bullish, get out of there. You don't want to be in a position where, okay, gold has to drop, but every time it rallies, you keep adding positions. It has to go up, you add another position, goes up some more, you add another position, because gold is expecting to drop. That's how you blow your account. That is not what you want to be doing. If it's not going your way, get out the position, especially your market like gold. Market's pretty boring today. Yeah, not too much movement, I would suggest either. I feel like we're having a breather with all the volatile movements we've had in the past couple of weeks. Pound yen, Raheel, yeah, I mean, pound yen is a pair which I'm looking to see if I can hop into a trade, to be honest. If I do see a strong enough rejection of this level, I will look to find an entry. I do still see a lot of downside here for pound yen. I'm looking for a swing all the way back down to 180. If I go to the daily chart, see a little bit better. But these are the two zones I'm considering shorting. Initially, I was just looking at this zone here, but because price is struggling so much there, it looks like we might turn around a little bit earlier. So I'm going to look to have a stab at this level. If it doesn't go to plan, I'll wait and see if we can get a push back to the zone here. Nice area of supply. You can see the low highs the market's putting in, 1, 2, 3. All I'm looking to do is try and catch the fourth, and then hopefully we can swing it back to the wick low here. I still think there's a big drop to be had for pound yen, but it's crucial in terms of respecting this high. I don't want to see pound yen break the high there on the daily chart, because if it does, then I'll scrap my bias. As long as we stay below that point, well, I'm looking for a big rollover and at least a push to 180. So pound yen is on the watch list. If I do see a big enough rejection here, I will look to enter a trade, maybe even this afternoon. If this level doesn't really show much rejection or we end up breaking through, I'll stay away and I'll wait to see if we can get back to 192.5, 193 before I look for a entry. But yeah, I'm expecting a big sell for pound yen, so I'm keeping an eye on both these levels. So what is that? 189.750 we'll call it, and 192.500 we'll call it. So that is where I'm at with pound yen. Pound yen, the 15-minute chart. Again, we've got that zone we're running through right now. I mean, from a 15-minute chart, it looks like there could be some nice selling opportunities, to be honest, as well. We know the level's there. I would suggest if we could maybe rally back into resistance, that could be a nice place for a short, because you've got one high over there, second over there, and perhaps, I mean, the third one could already been printed, but of course, if you're not really in the position, you need price to pull back up again. So perhaps a nice double top, and that could be a nice sell. You've got resistance to our left there. Price is back underneath that. Perhaps we can sell off. You can take this across. Resistance there too as well. So I do like pound yen to the downside. And of course, if it does end up rallying through that zone, then it's going to be bullish anyway, and probably just push back to highs at that point. But yeah, if you can respect that high there, perhaps nice double top, I think that looks good for an entry and some downside. But yeah, from a 4 hour perspective, I'm definitely looking to short. Anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into the stream, chatting with myself, and yeah, spending time with me on the stream does really help out. And of course, make sure you do go hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel. Link to that in the description below. You can find updates there. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself, share ideas there. So if you are looking to join the community, make sure you do check out the Discord link, free to join, in the description below. And you can also find it at the top of the chat. But guys, I do really appreciate you tuning into another stream. It does really help out. Of course, leave a like before you leave. That helps the content get out to more people. So I do really appreciate that. But I will be live again tomorrow, same time as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, say hi, come and chat with us. But guys, actually, I forgot to mention as well, I will be live again later today with Trader Nick on his channel. So if you do want to see more of me, in about an hour and 45 minutes time from now, so 1:45 p.m. UK time, I will be live with him. So go check out his channel. There'll be a stream on his channel and I'll be there. So if you're interested, go check it out. If not, I will be live again tomorrow on this channel or my channel. So hopefully I'll see you there. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in and I'll catch you all in the next one.